Welcome once again to Homeline Academy YouTube channel. My name is Godfrey Chaze, the teacher. I'm excited to have you again on this second episode of our YouTube channel, especially as we are talking about the subject of homeschooling. Like we saw last time in episode 1, we saw that homeschooling is defined by many people in different ways. Some people call it home education, parent-directed education, but most times it's what people call homeschooling. So last time we tried to define it. This time we want to go to the second episode. I want to welcome you to this episode where we want to look at the reasons as to why people choose to homeschool. Please share this with other people who could as well benefit from it. And I want to encourage you to subscribe so that we can grow this channel, and make some comments so that we can know what other things would you want to know about this subject of homeschooling. Well, I'm an educator myself. I'm not just a homeschool dad. I'm a homeschool dad, yes, but I'm a trained educator. And as well, this is a subject I've chosen to take on. So I can as well say I'm an advocate of homeschooling. I would love to see that homeschooling is recognized and mainstreamed as well in many parts of the world, not just in a few places, not just a few people to do it, because I believe it has so many benefits like we are going to see in this episode. Why do people choose to homeschool? Number one, the people who choose to homeschool are the kind that cherish family values. You all know that a family is the basic unit of every society. And what we mean by basic, we mean it's the most important, it's the most foundational, it's the most fundamental institute of a society. If there is a crack in any society, just like if there is a crack in a building, you find the problem in the foundation. So whenever there is a crack in the family, there is going to be a crack in society. So homeschooling has been taken on by many families because we believe it's one of those things that are helping us to build family cohesiveness, to build family unity. You know what has always been said, that a family that prays, a family that eats, a family that does stuff together, that family stays together. And in unity, we know that's where there is power. You just imagine how much time schools take away from our children. In our Ugandan case, 3 months, every 3 months the kids are away, and then they come home for 3 weeks. In others, in a year, kids are away from us for 9 months, and they are with us for only 9 weeks. Can you imagine what that is going to do to a family? It used to be said that east-west home is best, but these days I don't think that saying is still true anymore. Because east-west, how can home be best when we are never there? So home education is taken on by many of us because we believe it's one of those things that can help us to stay together as a family. Parents together with their children, working together, doing life together, basically making a family an economy, an ecosystem of its own, the way it's supposed to be, where you do everything, education, you're doing it together, you are running a business together, you're doing a family enterprise together. That's what is going to build our society, and it's one of the reasons as to why people today choose to homeschool. The other reason as to why people are taking on homeschooling is, I think all of us, if we take time to study what's happening in the school system, there is a lot that needs to be done to improve whether the performance of the children, whether we are talking about the morality of the children, whether we are talking about so many things, the cost implications and all of that, that there is need to look into some alternative approaches, not to do away with the school system, but not to think that that one size is going to fit everybody. There are people who do not fit in the school system, we know that. And so if we have alternatives like home education, and we find that there are families that would fit into that mold of education system, it's better to encourage them and to support them instead of discouraging them. And as such, there are people who are realizing that, well, the quality of the education system in the school system may not be the kind that they would love to give to their children. And as such, they think if they take it on as the parents and they take it into their hands to make sure that they determine what their children learn, they could possibly give them a better quality education system. And it has happened. There are studies that can actually prove that home educated children really receive good, high quality education. I mean, just imagine, most families could have 4, 5, 6, 7 children. Very rare that you find someone who has 10 of them. So, okay, if I have 4 of them and they are the ones I'm teaching, so most times you're going to have a child taught at a ratio of teacher-student ratio of 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. You cannot compare that to 1 to 40, to 50, to 100 sometimes. So I think home education, people are choosing it because it has potential to give high quality education to our children and to the next generation. The other reason I could suggest, or which has been suggested, is religious. Education is pretty much a religious factor. It's like passing on a faith from one generation to another. It's passing on teachings, which in religious circles they call doctrines. It's passing on doctrines. And I think every family, every parent would love to pass on their same faith or their same teachings or doctrines or their same beliefs to their children. Now, if we leave this to the school system, we are going to give our children not our faith, but whoever will be able to choose that faith. Sometimes it may not be actually even the faith of the nation, but we know multinational agencies that are very much interested in the belief systems of our children are the ones who are going to end up actually determining the faith of your children. Whereas we believe, those of you who are religious, there is that common belief that actually we are mandated religiously to pass on our faith as parents to our children. And education is one of those avenues through which you can pass on your faith to your children. So that's another reason as to why many families end up choosing home education, because of a desire to pass on their faith to their offsprings. The other one I would say, it's philosophical. Education is big time a philosophical matter. And there are so many philosophies that determine the different education methods people are using, whether it's in the school system or in the private education system. Now, philosophically, some of us could argue that education thrives best in an informal setup. And a home environment, a home-based, parent-led private education setup, most times it's going to be informal. You're going to pass on education to the child in an informal setup, which many times is better if compared to a formal structure. A formalized structure may not sometimes be the kind that is suitable for your unique needs of your child. So that's another reason as to why people are choosing to home educate, because they have different philosophies from the philosophies that are being used or that are determining the education system in the formal setup. Sometimes it could be as well cost. There are cost implications. I mean, can you imagine where you are every beginning of every school term that you are trying to fumble for funds to buy books, scholastic materials, a uniform, shoes, costs in terms of transportation to take the children to school and to bring them back, and so many other needs, so many other costs that go into taking a child to school. Most homeschool people do not worry about those things. When you're worrying about school uniform, they don't have to worry about that. When you're worrying about paying fees for, is it building fund, constructing structures and all of that, they don't worry about that. I mean, it's in your home. Yes, you can get scholastic materials, but as well you can make do with a number of things that are actually in the house. Somebody's kitchen can actually be a lab of its own. In your same bedroom, you can put there a library. I mean, you don't have to buy a specialized desk for the child to study from. They can study in the living room, they can study on their bed, they can study anywhere they find in the home. And guess what? When we talk about teaching and learning, we are learning things that are real to life. We are learning things that are within our environment. In a home environment, you are able to walk outside in the compound, or to go to the garden, or to walk to the farm. Sometimes you are able to see the real things that you're talking about in the lesson that you're teaching or you're learning, which may not be the case in a formalized, institutionalized classroom. So these are some of the factors sometimes people are looking into. And maybe the other one I could add here is the flexibility that comes with home education. It's flexible. You can actually do a lot of things within your own time. You can change when to do the classes. You can decide to study at night. You can study in the morning. You can study in the afternoon. It is flexible, and that flexibility motivates many people to think that possibly this is something that could work for their children. And maybe in this episode, I could end with this reason why people choose to homeschool. That is, every child is unique. There is no single child in the world that is just like another child 100%. Every child has unique needs. Every child has unique giftings and talents, and even their destiny is not going to be the same, in that one size cannot fit all of them. Even when it comes to the learning styles, every child has a different learning style. Just like teachers, we teach in different teaching styles. All of that emphasizes the fact that the special needs of every child need a customized education system. Even talking about special needs, there are children we know who are gifted differently, that they may not easily fit in the classroom where there are 50 of them under one teacher. In that a home environment enables the person of the facilitator, in this case the parent, or who could be the teacher, to have an understanding of the child's specific needs and customize the teaching and the learning for that particular child. These are some of the reasons I could give you today, but there are many other reasons we can talk about as to why people are choosing to homeschool. Godfrey Chaz is my name again, the teacher. I want to encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, Homeline Academy, and to look up our other resources which we have on homelineacademy.com. Maybe they could help you. And in case you have any questions, please write the question in the comment there, or you can reach us out and we'll be able to respond to your questions. Thank you very much.